We are live.
All right. Well, as soon as my thing starts up, I have to find something more reliable than this. All right, I am recording.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the
Why
American
did they
Green
do it cheer capacity?
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it? Whether we're young or old.
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew.
Yeah, gang's all here again. Another exciting week. Lots of great stuff going on.
Fun weather.
Yeah. Yep, got to use my snowblower for the first time this year.
Oh.
So it justifies that catastrophic expense. But yeah. Oh, my son started a new job this week, too.
Oh, okay. Where at?
He works at Jersey Mike's sub shop now.
Oh.
Oh.
I hear good things about Jersey Mike's.
Yeah, he seems to like it. Pays good. I mean, like $14 an hour. So.
Well, because I heard bad things about Kroger last week because they refused to pay some employees and shut down stores, even though they made record profits last quarter.
That's pretty much
But
that's pretty much every business that's making record profits. Like, oh, we forgot to pay our employees extra. Oh well.
I guess we'll shut down the store and act like we don't have any money. Let's go. Nobody will call us on it.
Yeah, that's like the weird thing with the WWE deal is like, oh, we just made another $1 billion deal, and like some people are like sweating. It's like, oh fuck, is my job gone? Because they just sold our streaming service off, so they probably don't need me anymore because they're handing that duty off to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always something rotten going on.
Well, because you had talked about, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Matt Taibbi or Tabai or
Taibbi.
Taibbi. I read Griftopia this week, and that was enlightening and also sad. Very, very sad. I'd read stuff about the 2008 financial crash before. I'd actually read a whole bigger book about it because his book's only about, even the updated version's like 250 pages. It was very enlightening, and some of the shit I read, especially about like Obamacare and shit like that, was very horrible. But also just some of the shit people got up to through Alan Greenspan's era to 10 years ago was really sad as well. I mean, I can't say anything. The book was very depressing, but enlightening at the same time.
Well, if you want a fun Matt Taibbi book, because usually he's very good at humor, so maybe this one wasn't humorous at all. But Insane Clown President is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's in my cart, but I haven't decided which book to buy from him next. I still got to read the book I recommended for you guys yet. So.
I know you don't like to listen to audiobooks, but I have it on audiobook, and I'd say it's pretty well done for audiobook. It's not that long because it's just like so he like writes on and off for Rolling Stone. Like he's kind of like considered like the sort of like the heir apparent to Hunter S. Thompson, just without all the drugs. And so yeah, it was just that book is just a collection of his Rolling Stone articles, pretty much.
Yeah, this one it kind of seemed like that too, as far as that went, and he did update it well. I mean, I don't know when the update was actually done, but it was a very enlightening book, and some of the shit in it was like, I knew they did really horrible loans, but I didn't know they did loans where you basically never paid the house off because it would just add extra interest every month. And it was like, oh, that's fucking cruel and unusual.
Oh yeah, when these people were going in, especially on the East Coast, and their parents were like refining their house, and they're basically digging all the money out of the house and giving it to the kids. The guys told them it's like, you make the first 3 payments or they'll pull it. And he's like, So they were actually, some of the loan officers were like taking the first 3 payments, so it wouldn't look as, because they knew they were giving shit loans, and they knew these people were just gonna take the money and run. And yeah, that's
Well, yeah, that was all built on the whole like idea that like, oh, these people will get better jobs and then they'll be able to pay this off. It's like,
yeah,
no, they won't.
that's what they were telling
Now they
themselves.
especially won't.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, there was some of the stuff just like they'd hire fake people to go around and tell people, hey, your house looks like it needs this and this. You better get a home loan from this person because then you could get fixed up and everything. And that was all bullshit because those they went around, low income neighborhoods and neighborhoods where people had owned their houses and they wanted to get all the equity back out of them again. And it was like, so I knew all that stuff and like horrible payday loans and all, because that was the other book focused on. It was like a lot of other loan industries as well at the same time, not just housing loans that were predatory and wringing money out of stuff. And this was very much more focused on the housing crisis, and not that it wasn't also focused on commodity trading and how they just like, oh, look, we'll just throw a bunch of money at commodity markets, even though they don't actually need it. It's just going to jack up prices without actually doing anything for demand or supply. And it's like, oh, let's see what happens there. It's like, oh yeah, bad things, because it just acts like you basically buy a shit ton of stuff without actually buying it. So you just create a lot of false demand, and jack up prices.
Yeah, well, if you ever read Liar's Poker, that was is that Michael Connolly? The guy who did Moneyball and shit.
Yes, I think it is.
So that was his first book. He used to be a stockbroker for oh fuck, I forget who it is. I don't think they exist anymore.
Merrill Lynch,
No, it's like one of those two names. Like it's like Salmon.
Morgan Stanley, or Salomon Brothers.
Yeah, Salmon Brothers.
Okay.
And and that's during the 80s, and that's when they created that. Like, why wealth exploded in the 80s is that somebody's like, hey, let's take all this housing and bundle it together and then just like make trade off of the idea that all this housing is bundled together, and like the price is just going to keep going up and it's just endless, it's an infinity. And then you like compare that to the 2008 housing crisis, and it's pretty much the exact same shit, where they just have to invent money somehow to keep the economy, make the economy look like it's continually rising. Because at some point, there's like nothing more you can do to make more money, so you have to invent it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, just talking, sorry, about all like the way they restructured, like how they packaged mortgages and stuff like that, and how everybody was in on it, from the people that rated the mortgages, the people that made the loans, the people that traded them, and everything else. It is like, oh yeah, these are just horseshit loans where we made up their FICO score because they paid us a couple $100, so we jacked up a couple hundred times, and then so these people don't actually have the income or actually aren't going to pay on the house. They just bought it so they could flip it and not ever pay on that shitty loan. Or we're gonna, say somebody's gonna have a fixed loan, but we're gonna actually give it an adjustable rate mortgage to see if they notice. And it was because they did this whole campaign of like, oh, all these poor black people or poor people aren't affording their houses. This is why the housing market's crashing. It's not because we gave people all these horrible loans they can't afford. It has everything to do with those irresponsible people.
Those 1, 2, 3 loans where if you miss or late on 3 payments, your interest rate adjusts by 2 points. And yeah, that's. I mean, it was, yeah, and I think that stuff can still be done. I don't know. I think they watch it a little better, but they just move on to the next little thing they can change.
And weirdly, in both times, like it's like German banks that get fucked in the end because they just like, oh, this is great, yeah, we'll back this, and then somehow they get fucked in the end. Like,
yeah, it's America. It's the most stable economy in the world. They wouldn't fuck us, and they don't realize they're buying into the worst sector of the. Like, poor people are never an investment unless you can pass their debts on to someone else. You want to be the middleman between the poor and the banks because you'll always come out of that ahead or wind up in prison. One of the two. But.
Well, if you're in America, you'll never wind up in prison because seeing like because they were talking about how Alan Greenspan, like his relationship to Ayn Rand, and just his like basically sucking anybody's dick that would pay him attention, and then just basically serving them only his entire office span, and misunderstanding the economy to a T all the time, and just like never understanding that like, oh yeah, if you don't actually regulate things and you actually bail people out all the time, nothing ever good is ever going to come of that, because they're just going to act like it's the Wild West, and that's what happened throughout all these times. Just like, oh, you just keep pumping free money and lower the interest rate so much that people, because they're talking about like, oh yeah, there's actually a news story in the time It's like people just can't invest in CDs and regular savings accounts anymore. They have to invest in the stock market because otherwise they won't make any money. And it's like, yeah, that's really fucking sad because you should be able to play it safe if you want to. It doesn't actually have to be a choice between, oh, I'll just gamble on this internet stock that's like, oh, this company hasn't made a dime yet, but it's worth $500 billion. It's like, that doesn't seem fishy at all.
Well, it gets really dark when you like just read books written by economists, and some of it I understand, some of it's too dense for me, but essentially, like, yeah, the whole American dream since the Second World War has been based on this premise of unlimited growth. Well, there's two ways to have unlimited growth. You can run scams or you can have a war. And I mean a world war. And really that's kind of off the table right now. I mean, it could be coming back, but right now the destructive power of another full-scale global war would probably, you might as well eat the money for what it's going to be worth. So the only option you have left is just straight out fraud. And also the money's worthless because it's all debt currency. So yeah, keep the interest rates low. That's when they talk about sophisticated. They use terms like, I always like the one quantitative easing. I was like, well, I'll never understand what that means. And then I was reading a book about something once, and you know what quantitative easing is? It's printing more money. So it has something to do with treasury bills and how much money they can print. And it's like, oh, they make it sound elaborate because if they just came out and said, well, we're printing more money, everyone might be like, wait a minute. Isn't this like Bitcoin where the more you have, the less it's worth? So you got to control the supply of money. What are we doing? And yeah, so you don't want people thinking about that. So you come up with fancy terms.
Man,
well, yeah, because it was talking about for the first time, like the way the Fed works in that book. And it's like, oh, the chairman of the Fed could just basically like loan about $3 trillion to any bank, doesn't have to disclose what it's for or who it's to. Really, and there's no oversight whatsoever, so nobody can block him. He can just create money or lower interest rates at will to think fixing the economy. And it's like, that's one guy's power. He doesn't really have anybody that actually checks him at all. And it can be held by it has been held by a bunch of people that work for Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, and all these other places that obviously they have no dog in that hunt. Because it was talking about AIG and how that company fell under, and just like the two ways that company got fucked. One was just that they kept like issuing insurance on stuff. So it's like people thought they had points on like, oh, I'll make this investment in shitty mortgages. I know it's going to fail, but when it does, I'll get paid on the back end plus 10 for what I invested, and I'll make money in the meantime. And then AIG never put up any money for any of that backing. So they just issued insurance without any actual collateral to back any of that up. And then the other end of the company was the guy was just he was selling all their securities on short loans so he can invest in toxic mortgages and then make a lot of money, and then thought nobody could ever call him on it. And so they lost like almost $500 billion in those two schemes alone, because they're just like, oh, we'll never get caught. Nothing will ever happen. It is like those schemes would take 30 to 50 years to play out, but they only had 3. So, yeah, sorry.
Well, again, when you're building your economy on the backs of poor people, you've got to have a third party in there to pass that along to.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's all about stripping wealth off of poor people and putting it on to rich people. So,
yeah.
There was this one time, there was this Marine. He was so naive, it was almost cute. I had to try to explain to him what inflation was. He's like, why don't they just print more money? And I was like, well, if they print more money, then it's worth less. It's like, how does that make sense? It's like when you get further into it, like, I don't know either. But like, he has this hard concept that money is actually worth something, and I know it's more ambiguous, and it's hard to explain that to somebody who's that naive.
Yeah. Because the Mexicans are taking our jobs, you know. Yeah, the people always want to look for those answers, and it's like, well, no. Yeah.
I mean, just tell them to watch an episode of Raising Hope where they try to do a barter economy with Burt Bucks, and then he'll understand what the hell inflation is, maybe, because that just like keep printing money because they're like, we can't go wrong. We just keep printing money. Nothing ever bad's gonna happen. We can just make as much money as we want to pay for our problems. And then everybody's like, I got paid 5,000 Burt Bucks to make one shrimp cocktail for this person. This is why this isn't going to work. And it's like, oh, okay, this is inflation for stupid people. So
did they finally decide to invade Czechoslovakia at the end of that? Like, I know how we can get our money back.
No, but they did try convincing all the people it wasn't a problem and they should just keep playing along. And it was like, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Did they ultimately blame the Jews?
Yeah.
No, they didn't have the anti-Semitic ties during the show. I don't think they didn't blame any one person, but yes, they seemed. Then they had a giant
or the show's Jewish substitute, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, those goddamn Oliverians or whatever from Oliver Town. Fuck those people. Hoard money all the time and they turn into rats when you need to flee. No, just something where literally, I don't know why people don't understand inflation and care more about the economy. I know it's not a very sexy topic,
Well, I mean,
but it's
yeah. Well, it's also like you have to pay attention.
It's
like,
mind-bendingly dense.
I mean, this was,
well, yes, no, it is.
This is a Marine, so he it's not like he went to college, and it's clear he didn't pay attention to class, and he's an adult and got this far. He's like, why don't they just print more money? I don't get it. And like and he's right. He just doesn't know, and it's like hard to explain to him.
No, because it's just
actually, like America has the position to just print more money.
Yeah, I
and
was
just
going to say we've
well,
been
see
doing.
what happens. Do something about it. That's pretty much been our economic plan for the last 30 years.
Yeah, we don't have this giant military just because. There's a lot of things going on there. That's like, yeah, Paraguay gets into a currency crisis, and there's not much they can do about it. America has a tendency to reach out and touch someone when things are bad. and they always say, well, that's not connected, or that it's like, oh yeah, it is. I mean, it's not maybe in a direct line, but it's all related. That's why all these countries want to do. That's what China wants this, and Russia wants to try to be that kind of world player. And it's yeah, they all want it, but no, that's when they don't have very dynamic governments either. So that's good.
No, I mean it's something where America's not going to get called on a lot of shit. One, because they basically are the backing currency of a lot of fucking nations, and we're the biggest economic player, even though we're actually not. We're actually seemingly to grow smaller and smaller and have less assets to offer. We're just the biggest bully in the yard.
Well, we're not exporting as much as China is, but we are also like importing way more than any other country. We import way more than China does because that's just how China is.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like the individual purchasing power of an American and divide that over the billion Chinese people, it's like, oh, that doesn't seem like such a powerhouse then. But yeah, that
was the interesting. I guess it's not that interesting. There's another thing about their WWE is again trying to make inroads in India, and they had a special event there that wasn't televised here, but like it was televised there, and like 20 million people watched. It's like, well, that seems like a success. And also, there's a lot of like WWE YouTube videos that have like 40 million views. It's like that's crazy. And it's something to do with like Middle Eastern countries where it's like where basically they can't get porn, and the next best thing they can do is wrestling. So especially like if there's women's wrestling, it just has like an absurd high amount, or if there's intergender wrestling, it has an absurd high. Because there's an independent company called Beyond Wrestling, and they have intergender wrestling there, and like they have videos that have like 80 million views, and it's just this really small wrestling company. It's like, well, holy shit, like they must be crazy. It's like, no, it's like people are using that as their porn substitute.
no.
Anyways, so they say they always brag about these millions of views they get on YouTube at their investor calls and stuff, and then but ultimately, like Dave Meltzer was saying, it's like getting money out of India through YouTube is like blood from a stone. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's I remember that's called. There's actually a name for selling stuff in those markets because it was based on the Mitch album. It was a story he told about, remember when he wrote that book, The People You Meet on the Way to Heaven or whatever?
No, who is this?
Mitch Albom, the author, the sports guy.
I don't know who that is. I don't think so.
Well, it's a famous book. It's kind of like it's like a guy dies and he meets three people that meant something in his life on the way to heaven. I'm not really that familiar with it. I I don't really. I just know that he was telling the story like in India they kind of go for that like spiritualist type stuff. They said, "Oh, this could be this would translate well to India." And it's like, okay, how many books are you looking to sell or whatever? And I said like 25, 30 million. He's like, "Oh, holy shit!" That's like if you sell that many books here, that's like New York Times bestseller for like 2 years. That's big stuff. But then they realized, oh well, they'll pay like 30 rupee for a paperback, which translates to like roughly 1.50 cents here or something. And he was like, wow, is that? It's because he said he made like $50,000 off that or something. And it was like, yeah, because people are incredibly poor there. They live on like $1 a day or something, a lot of them. And it's like, yeah, you can get some real winning numbers, but there's no like, it's not like big cash sales with a lot of profit, and there's no like repeat customers and stuff. It's like people just don't have any money because there's like 1.5 billion people there, and it's like, yeah, and most of them are poor. Because when he first heard that like 25, 30 million, it's like, wow, that's. He's thinking like $25 a hardback. It's like no.
They're not gonna spend their monthly wages on your book.
Yearly wages in some cases.
Yeah,
getting to Sri Lanka and places like that. Yeah, but that's become the term for sell. Like if you get really popular in a third world market, it's all called the Mitch Albom effect. It's like, well, you can bump those stock numbers. It's like we got 50 million sales. It's like, yeah, at 11 cents a piece. I mean, it's money, but it's not money. It's not like, yeah.
And did you only tangentially related? Did you all see the Myanmar aerobics lady?
Yeah, the aerobics coup.
Oh, the tanks were rolling by in the armored cars, and she's just like. Now, was she unaware completely? Was she so in the zone she didn't know what was going on, or was she just like, I'm not paying attention?
I saw some stuff that said she saw it, but she just like continued on. Because there's a part where she seems to like stop and like slow down her dance routine. And it's like, oh, is she taking notice of something? But then the dance routine picks up, and it's like, oh, that's a part of the routine. It's like, I don't know if she noticed it or not. She said she did, but you watch the video, it's like it seems like she's completely clueless. Because like there's something, I'm not sure if it's her or somebody pretending to be her, but she said like the cops are pointing guns at my head, but they were smiling, so I ignored it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I heard some weird stuff about that. So I guess they say the Chinese are backing that coup, and the Japanese are saying they're willing to deploy forces to stop it. And it's like, whoa, the Japanese are going to deploy? That's a throwback.
They've been to Burma before, back when it was called Burma.
They're familiar with the area. So would our grandfather also is familiar, or would be familiar with that area. But yeah. But that's yeah, I thought that was weird when I heard that. It's like, oh, the rising sun. It's going to reach out. Because isn't Japan, aren't they over their restrictions too? Didn't that expire?
What?
Where they can essentially have an army again if they want one?
I don't know.
They have been increasing. So they have been increasing military spending.
Yeah, it's basically like they just call it security forces, but like your security force that, it's like, oh, why do police have aircraft carriers? Like, I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, well, I know that for a long time they were operating under that. They called it the Japanese Self-Determination Force.
Yeah.
But now I thought they were just like calling it the army. Like they were going to actually split it up. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's the same thing in Germany. So
most most police forces don't have like Harrier jump jets, Apache attack helicopters, and the Japanese probably have nuclear weapons. I mean, they're smart enough. They probably like, let's hide a few in this mountain, just in case. We've seen the Godzilla movies. Let's hide.
Just throw the Fukushima reactor at them. You guys seen the trailer for that movie?
The
Which one?
God
The
versus
Fukushima. No, the Fukushima movie.
Oh, I didn't.
No, I
know.
There was advertised this week along with a couple other trailers I watched that I found entertaining. But yeah, it looks like it could be a good movie, but also just because it's dubbed, I hate it. But I think it could be a better movie subtitle because it won't be so over the top weird, probably. But yeah, not quite sure. But hopefully,
My
it will be.
favorite scene in, or the thing I watched about Fukushima is I watched a few documentaries because nuclear disasters are kind of a weird fascination of mine, and I liked it when they were trying to keep this pump running, the one pump they could keep running, and they had no like electrical power externally because of the, what was it,
Typhoon.
the ratio or whatever. Yeah, their thing, their weather thing, and they went and got all the car batteries out of all the cars in the parking lot, and they had like 100 car batteries all hooked up in series, running this giant like pump. And it was like, wow, that's pretty quick. Those guys were just out there right away, taking the batteries out of everyone's car, running some cables to them and getting that pump going. Because they were trying to keep water in the, I don't know, the cooling pool for the fuel rods or something.
Yeah.
Something that would have made it a lot worse than what it was.
Yeah,
I think that's the most nuclear meltdowns that's ever happened on one place at one time. So what's that movie called?
Sorry, I didn't. Here, let me find it again. Well, because I didn't think I'd be asked what the title of the movie. I just figured
you thought we all saw the trailer and knew what it was. You didn't have to know it.
Well, because it has Ken Watanabe in it, which isn't really surprising. I don't know what role he plays because it doesn't seem like he's main character, but he doesn't seem like a side character either. Oh, come on, internet. Sorry, my fucking computer's being slow as shit because I have other things going on right now.
Oh.
Apparently. Well, I think my wife's watching something in the other thing.
Oh, you're not downloading HD pornography or anything?
It's called the Fukushima 50.
Fukushima 50. Okay, where can you see it at?
Well, so far the trailer came out a week ago, but it hasn't really said when it. Yeah, it hasn't been released yet. Sorry. There's also a Studio Ghibli movie that came out on HBO Max apparently this week that I was kind of interested in. It was like Earwig, something like that, because probably it was the first movie they've done in 6 years.
Huh? I figured that'd be on Disney because Disney owns all the Studio Ghibli. Well, they don't own it. They have the rights to broadcast all the Studio Ghibli stuff. But I guess this is a new movie, so it's probably going everywhere. So
probably I haven't checked Disney Plus. But other than that, the new King Kong movie looks good to watch for free on HBO Max.
Yeah,
I still haven't watched Godzilla King of the Monsters, but I never hear good things about it, so I just didn't bother.
It manages to be boring. That doesn't sound possible, but it is.
Well, the Black Panther movie that comes out next week on HBO Max looks really good too. Did you guys see the
cartoon or is it a live action?
The Black Panther movie? The fucking
that
70s group. Not Black Panther Marvel. Black Panther is in like civil rights group.
Oh, okay.
It has a different meaning. Sorry. Because you guys see the HBO Max teaser trailer for all the movies that are coming out this year?
No, I haven't.
There's a Suicide Squad. There's like a Constantine movie with like Hugh Jackman kind of looking movie that looks really good.
All right.
There's fucking Space Jam, fucking Matrix, Dune, fucking pretty much like everything you'd want to fucking see.
Well, they had the trailer before where basically they're saying, like, when that Wonder Woman was coming out, it's like basically like all our films that we were going to put in theaters now on HBO Max because basically, if Warner Brothers is making anything, it's coming to HBO Max at least this year. So.
Yeah, because I just watched all the little things last weekend, and that was a good movie.
Oh, is that okay? I didn't know that was on HBO Max. I thought that was being released currently, but I guess it's there, so they can release it.
Yeah, it's there. It's not bad. It made me watch I got sucked into a True Detective rabbit hole after watching that. Like half the first season of True Detective again. It's like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, because I still haven't watched the third season of that, and I've been meaning to. But I mean, yeah, it was a decent movie. I didn't really like the twist, but yeah, but it had good actors. Jared Leto played a douchebag to like I thought he is. So
he just walked in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Jared Leto.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think because I was watching something this week because people are talking about like, oh, his cult island, and is he really that much of a piece of shit like everybody says he seems to be? And most people didn't seem to have that reaction. And apparently, it's an island he rents near Croatia every year now to have like a retreat thing, and apparently he treats the people well and stuff. And nobody seems to think it's a cult, so I guess it's not a cult. But at the same time,
I've never heard of any of this about.
Oh
him.
yeah, because this is like a COVID thing. Because like when they got back from this retreat, they're like, "What the fuck's COVID-19?"
Oh.
Because the way I've heard people talk about it is like basically these people worship Jared Leto because he kind of looks like depictions of Jesus Christ. So it's like a lot of crazy. Well, the way it's been described to me is like crazy people who think he's Jesus are going on this island. So. But Andrew here seems to downplay that assessment. So.
Well, okay, so apparently, like from the research the guy was doing, that was literally like there's a photo of him with like everybody's dressed in white and following him down a path on the island, and it looks kind of very cultish image. But it was like, oh, everybody was just like, oh, let's take a cult picture with like everybody dressed in the same color or whatever. So I don't. That seems weird in itself, to be honest. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm obviously not
Sounds
there.
like stuff that happens with a lot of drugs. It's like, hey, let's do this.
And I mean, I did watch the one video last week where he was basically like yelling at somebody at a concert because there was a 30 Seconds to Mars show, and he was telling people to do something crazy and jump up and have fun. And then so the top comment that I thought was hilarious was like, yeah, honey, remember when we were kids, we jumped up and had all that fun? That was so great. Or whatever. And I was like, exactly. But you can see it forever after a couple seconds because he's like, what's up, neckbeard? Why aren't you standing up or whatever? And I was trying to look at the crowd like, who the fuck's not standing up? And why would you care? It's just like him bitching at the guy for the next minute until he stands up and he's like, finally, let's get the show going. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, fuck you. It's like everybody's going to do wild and crazy stuff. They're going to jump up in the air.
I'm going to go Ed Norton on Fight Club on you.
So, but then like apparently like his dad fucking left him early or died or some fucking shit. I don't fucking know. Like this guy kind of going through his background and shit, which I don't really give a shit. But at the same time, I guess it was nice to know some things about him. I guess I don't know. He's like fucking.
You don't have
50
to find
years old.
excuses for Jared Leto being an asshole. He's just an asshole. It's okay.
I know. I was just trying to buck the trend of like, oh, he's an asshole. Like, well, technically, not really. I mean, I don't know. He has more money than me, so he's better than me. That's the Wall Street way.
Yeah, he's better than all of us. He deserves to have an island and a bunch of people following him in white robes.
Although I felt like everybody didn't really hate him until he did that Joker role. That's when everybody really piled on.
Well, because was that his design of the Joker, or is he just going with people? That was it. Fucking Jesus Christ. It's a shitty design. Did he ever read any comic books before he fucking decided that? Or did he just...
Well, like he did shit like for that movie where he sent like Will Smith like dead animals in the mail to make him hate him. It's like that's the kind of method actor he is. And that's why Jared Leto is an asshole, is that kind of shit. Where it's like Jared Leto should just go like have a meeting with Harrison Ford where he's just like, you just pretend. I don't know why you do all this other crazy shit.
The Harrison Ford school. Hey, just pretend. Just be a carpenter on set. The next thing you know, you're an actor. Just take it. And everyone sucks. And I live in a small town in Montana because I'm deeply antisocial.
Well, no, it's just something we're like literally looking at the guy and shit. It's like if he literally chose that as the Joker, like I don't know, like who would ever think Mexican drug cartel Joker needed to be a thing? Because
that was a unique idea of the Joker because I don't think anybody else has done that before. And like the most current Joker is like the weird where he ripped off his face and has it like held back on with like string and shit. Like I don't think he wanted to do that.
No, but I'm just saying, as far as like all the iterations of Joker, otherwise, like yeah, Heath Ledger was more dark than any other Joker had been before. Obviously, Jack Nicholson was more just he was menacing, but he wasn't like in your face, like oh that's fucked up. I mean, otherwise, really only other Joker you have.
And the Mark Hamill one, that's usually kind of I use that as the canon Joker from.
No, that's what I was.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Pretty much the only other famous Joker is Mark Hamill's character, or Mark Hamill's Joker.
You know what?
But at the
You know,
same-
like Caesar. What's his name? Caesar Bonomo or something? Oh, shit, I can't remember his name.
Well, I haven't seen a lot of it from the Batman show from the 50s and 60s and shit.
No, it wasn't anything special. It was just ridiculous. So.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. There's not a lot of places for Jared
I,
Leto to
just,
take
that,
that.
I like that, like the Batman, the original or the TV show, is like the out of nowhere answer when debating Batman. Because I remember sometime we were talking about like who's the best Batman, and like usually people like always go for Michael Keaton, and then like one guy was like, fuck, what's it? What was the what was
Adam
it?
West.
Yeah, Adam West, and like it's like I have no argument for that. It's like if you believe that, go ahead. I'm not gonna tell you you're wrong. It's like that's an out of nowhere answer, but man, do you know what, like shit? They used to shoot like fucking 5 episodes of Batman a week.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
was
They had
fucking
it was
crazy.
a vicious shooting schedule.
And then they like let up on it, and it's like, all right, we're gonna just do 3 a week. It was like fucking soap opera stuff. But like, you know, they had like stunts and sets and everything. But
Those
So-
are actually fun to watch sometimes. Not just for nostalgia. It's like, oh, this is such a different interpretation of the world.
or watch it and it's like, wow, this was acceptable entertainment.
Yes, and this was out the same time as Star Trek. Like, it's like, oh, okay. It's definitely this is a time of different. This is a different interpretation of things. Yeah, because now these people get winded if they do like. It's like, oh, we did an eight, you know, it was an 8-episode shoot this year. So we're gonna have a 2-year hiatus and come back. It's like I got to take a break. Star Trek: The Next Generation, 24 episodes a year.
26.
26 sometimes. Yeah, they don't do anything like that anymore.
No.
But I don't know if you could get actors to do it. I don't know if you could have the kind of quality writing and everything that's
Yeah.
demanded.
Well, I mean, soap operas still do that shit, but
Well, soap operas, yeah. But
Well, I'm
those
just
are
trying
still
to,
around, I guess.
I guess I was trying to think like other directions you could take Joker and just try to figure out like how exactly you would, I guess, make that character more dynamic or be better or be different than the other things that have come before. It's like I can't really, besides all the comic books and animated shows I watch with it, it's like I can't really think of one off the top of my head anyway.
Well, the problem
I mean,
with Joker-
it's always an essence. It's always like it's like you have to like pose it in a way where it's like the Joker's like the free person who does whatever the fuck he wants, and Batman's the person who's restricting himself and trying to stop the Joker. So like you get to those ethics of those characters, that's where you can get interesting stuff, and then everything else is just, you know, scenery and flair.
Well, the problem I see with Joker is it's the way it's been interpreted. Like the ultimate essence of it probably was the Heath Ledger Dark Knight,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, this is a crazy person, but not a pathetic crazy person. This is a dangerous crazy person. This is someone with no like constraints on his behavior and no limits to his intelligence either. So this is a very, very, very dangerous person. And you know, once you run past that, you're either into it's a deformed movie monster, it's pathetic, or it's like where do you go from Heath Ledger with the Joker?
Well, I mean, like always the thing comes down is like who would follow the Joker, and that was the thing they basically did in Dark Knight was like, oh, like they're all like mental patients that he's
Yeah,
like,
it's
coerced.
crazy people. Yeah.
Or if you did something more like along the Marco Norris line, where it's like it's a really fine line of like the guy has a good argument. This is why people follow him. He's captivating, but he's also a psycho, and people don't realize that yet. So
Yeah.
whereas like, you know, the Joker is like always immediate, like you can see from a distance, oh, this guy's a psycho.
Danger is afoot.
So like if you did like something new you could do with it, where it's like just like you don't know it's the Joker until he's in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting actually, kind of an incognito Joker, like a sideline.
I can't. They did stuff like that in the Gotham TV show where he's just like a comedian, and I don't know where they give him the transformation. I only watched like the first season. I gave up on that show pretty easily.
Well, I think a lot of people did. the same.
I hear its last season is one of the most awful television seasons of all time.
Oh, Jesus.
Like they just completely lose everything that was interesting about that show, and just
Well,
bad acting, bad writing, bad production. It was just like a
That's my problem with CW DC shows. Like it's all pretty much it goes from maybe decent to shit pretty fast.
yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's probably because more or less budget and quality of writing. But at the same time, they also don't seem to care to put actors in the parts that can actually act the characters very well.
Well, some of those CW shows, they seem like, are these all unpaid internships for like the directors, the writers, and everyone?
It seems like it.
I've tried to watch a few of those.
It's all super Canadian production. I think Arrow probably does it the best because it probably uses the least CGI and it just does a lot of practical action stuff. And some of the action stuff is like pretty generic, but occasionally they do something like a bit more elaborate. But yeah, like what's the one where it's like the team of like misfits and they're going through time?
Oh, yeah, the one I was excited for, and then I was like, oh, this fucking show sucks.
Is that Legends or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's basically that. But yeah, it's one of my favorite characters because it's actually Booster Gold's son, but it's like a time traveler at the same time.
Yeah.
But somehow he's British instead of American. Like he's the comic books, and it makes no sense.
But like that show is like really heavy CGI, and it all looks like trash.
Yeah,
I like the characters are fun, but like the show just looks like trash.
Well, because I was interested to see, because I've watched Doom Patrol all the episodes now. I've watched Swamp Thing all the episodes, so it's only season. And then now I watched the first episode of Teen Titans last week just to see like how that was. And my God, their casting of Dick Grayson is fucking horrible.
You remember the trailer for that, right?
Kind of, but not really.
Because the trailer for that made that show look fucking awful. And the show is bad, but I thought the show I watched was way better than what that trailer made it out to be, where it's like, fuck Batman, and all this other edgy nonsense. So I thought it was better than what the trailer did, but still, I didn't like it.
Because like Starfire's casting is interesting, and I'm interested to see what her character does, but like Dick Grayson's character is fucking stupid. The casting for it's horrible and fucking doesn't make any goddamn sense.
And the Doom Patrol episode's fucking weird.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a Doom Patrol.
Yeah,
episode.
that's they kind of got like a soft pilot launch through the Titans.
Oh, okay.
So it's like like some of the cast members are different. Like they didn't have Timothy Dalton then, so it's different and weird, and it's very somber. It has no humor whatsoever. But that's one thing that like Doom Patrol does well is like they also have the shitty production design of CW shows, but they use it to great effect because it's a comedy.
Well, I mean, it's just I know Cyborg's in both shows, so it's kind of it's like there's 3 or 4 different Cyborg actors right now, and it's like I don't know why they can't like at least have continuity with one of the person being on either both of the DC shows or something.
They don't do any carryover between the shows and the movies, so.
Well, because I know the guy that was on the Flash or whatever, like he got fired because nobody seemed to want to work with him, and he didn't care about anybody else. But everybody else, like so far, plays Cyborg. Like I probably like the guy on Doom Patrol that plays Cyborg the most, but I don't like the Cyborg character on that show. So
yeah, he's kind of the weakest part. But yeah, I don't mind the actor. It's just they give him a lot of bullshit to do.
Yeah, he doesn't have any of the good parts of that show, unfortunately.
Like the funnest part with Cyborg was like that weird part where like him and who's the guy in the suit? Was it Cliff or something?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's Cliff. Yeah.
So him and Cliff have like this weird like they're like 70s cops like montage. That's really fun. I don't even know I don't even remember the context for it. But it's fun.
Oh, I watched a few episodes of that 30 Coins.
Oh, yeah? What'd you think of that? Or do you want to explain? You explain to Andrew what 30 Coins is.
Okay, well, the show's set in Spain. And it's a disgraced former priest, not a pedophile priest. A priest is somebody died during an exorcism, because he's like a demonologist or an exorcist or something, and he so he's in this small village in Spain, and all this weird stuff, all this semi-comical but yet really dark stuff starts happening. And the main character is like the town mayor, the veterinarian, and this priest. And there's these coins, and these were apparently the coins that Judas was paid to betray Jesus Christ. And these coins grant power, and there's people trying to gather all these coins for one, to get powers or whatever. I mean, I'm only 2 episodes in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a strangely dark and fascinating show where there's like a lot of weird stuff happening and then a lot of mundane stuff happening, and kind of the character interactions are strange. And the mayor's wife, who also runs because he owns like a butcher business too, like an industrial hog butchering plant.
Yeah,
or
this
something.
town's really small, so this is like their only economy is this butcher like industrial butcher shop or whatever.
And when he starts talking about the weird stuff that's happening, his wife's trying to boost his political image, and they use weird terms like it's subtitled, but it's basically like they're going to think we're hillbillies if we start talking about this stuff because they're in some remote part of Spain. And
well, like one of the things they try to hide is a cow gives birth to a human baby.
yeah,
Oh, jeez.
yeah, but everyone acts kind of weird about it instead of shocked.
Yeah.
And then you're like, did that happen? Because the priest was like, well, see, she switched the baby. It wasn't really a baby. It was, so they create doubt, and then you realize, oh no, that shit's real. Like it's some devil baby spider thing. And but nobody sees it except the lady that fights it. The priest knows it's there, but yeah, there's a lot of like X-Files type suspension of belief stuff going on, and a lot of the characters have some interest in like, let's not talk about the supernatural aspects. Let's keep things normal. Let's keep things okay. Weird spider baby.
I like how the weird shit's happening, and they're trying to approach it rationally. Like they're trying to figure it out.
Including the priest who knows like, oh, there's good and evil, and there's evil forces out there.
Yeah, I believe the next episode's the Mirrors episode, which I watched first, which I really like that episode. So I suggest.
I try to watch it. Like I said, it's subtitled, not dubbed, so
Yeah.
I can't really like build a model.
And just because literally like dubbing sometimes is so horrible that it's not watchable.
I mean, I'd say this show is worth paying attention to, or at least for the first 3 episodes. I don't know where it goes. I only got through like the first 3 episodes, but
So what is it on?
HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's
I thought
from
it probably was,
HBO Europa.
Oh, okay. Well, because HBO seems to keep putting more and more stuff on every week that I want to watch. So far, it's been probably the best streaming service I've ever bought. So
Oh yeah,
far.
hands down, it's one of the best.
My wife hates the display and shit, but other than that,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I said, like they're really bad with discoverability, but like if you just go looking like yourself, you can find some cool. Like I didn't know this was here. It's like, well, it's all of HBO, but then there's other shit too. So
yeah, I mean, it's something you have to get used to as far as like learning how to navigate it and find things you want to find.
well, I think
'Cause,
I think if you scroll down like midway, they have like things sectioned off where it's like if you just want HBO, click this box and it'll just give you all HBO, or it'll give you all the like the Warner Brothers properties, or they have things separated, or there's like an anime box where you can just like here's all the anime, but it's like it's not like intuitive, I guess I'd say.
Well, I mean, she's not a fan of like. I think it's just our internet, but like it seems to lag out when you search for too long, or when you've been watching stuff for like 5 episodes, like South Park, and then it's like, oh, we can't find this now, and it's like, no, that's just our fucking internet. That's not the program.
I've heard other people say that the streaming quality is bad with HBO Max, but so
I mean, it's just kind of
elsewhere.
it's touch and go. Like I never until the other day, like when I was looking through stuff, I've never had the problem of it freezing when I'm looking through stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, $65 for 6 months isn't bad.
Well, I don't know
anymore,
what their backbone is, because Netflix, they use Amazon servers, so that's if you think like, oh, Netflix and Amazon have like similar streaming stuff, it's because they're all using the same shit.
Oh.
Whereas I don't know what if HBO is using Amazon's like stuff, because secretly that's the secret success of Amazon isn't like, oh, we offer free shipping to everyone. It's this they own like 90% of the world's servers and everything is hosted on it.
Yeah, they're like most of the cloud service is Amazon servers.
Yeah, because that's what they make all their money on is servers. They don't make money
Yeah.
on fucking selling people shit.
No. Well, I mean, they
Which is-
do, but yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, so they make all their profit on servers. They make money on selling people shit, but they take a lot of losses too because they're.
Yeah.
I mean, the shipping part is fucking. It's weird how they basically make that cost so little, but also at the same time,
I think
just
they just
revolutionary.
they probably just eat the cost on that because like I was thinking about the other day, and this is only an anecdote for me. It's like what made Amazon so big is just like the whole free shipping thing, because like it's like, oh, you mean I can get anything and it doesn't cost anything extra?
The old
Yeah.
I've had things with Amazon with their shipping when it's their people doing it, where they'll say something was delivered, and it's like, well, it's not here, and then I'll type a message to Amazon like did not receive, and it was like I forget, it was something I was doing here, and then the next day I got 2 of them. I only paid for one. Then I called them back and I sent them messages like, yeah, you double delivered. And it's like, that one's on us, or something like that. Like, okay, I'm not trying to rip you off.
That's how me and Andrew got the same mouse.
Oh, okay.
I tried to return that, and they didn't
No,
care.
They don't. They're not. If you hit return an item, they'll literally go like, when did you purchase? So, like, if I went through the whole return an item, they just weren't going to give me my money back for the, not only did they send me double, it's like, we'll give you your money back. It's like, well, no. No, we're entering into a strange moral realm here where I just, fine, I'll keep it, whatever.
The only weird thing I have is like, because now Amazon has supplemented their delivery stuff with their own Amazon Prime stuff, and like those ones end up being weird sometimes. It seems like the people working those like don't necessarily have the same work ethics of the other delivery services.
Yeah, the weird crew.
And so because we live in a condo, it's like a combined house, and I guess the neighbor had their garage open, and they threw my shit in the neighbor's garage.
I'm sorry, say that again. You kind of chopped out on me.
Yeah.
The neighbor's garage door was open, and so when they went to deliver my stuff, they threw my shit in the neighbor's garage.
Oh, nice.
And I took a picture of it. It's like, delivery, rate us. I'm like, okay, sent to the wrong address.
That's the reverse shape of the garage I live in.
I'll have to break into my neighbor's place to get my shit.
I mean,
No,
it's an understandable mistake, but
Well, I mean, as much as everybody talks about, like, yeah, I don't like getting double things either, because then usually, yeah, as you try and return it, and either they will take it and not give you your money back, or give you your money back too, but also like when they take returns, they just sell it in bulk to people because they don't want to restock it, so they just take a loss on it anyway. Either they write it off or they take a huge percentile loss. And I've only gotten 2 things once. Once was like 6 years ago when I bought a gun range bag. And so I got a second one, so I gave it to my dad. And then, like, this year when I ordered a Lego set for my nephew for Christmas, and they lost it in transit. So I was like, hey, you guys lost this. Can I either order another one or get a refund? They're like, oh, we don't have it anymore, so we can just refund you. And then they refunded me. The next day it showed up out of nowhere, and nobody knew where it was. And so I was like, well, I'll try and return it. And it was like, oh, you already got the money back. Just keep it. And like, okay.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, okay.
I'm not going to argue with this one.
yep.
I'm trying to be honest here, but okay.
Yeah, that's what happened a lot of times when I'd pre-order a game, and like they guaranteed it would be on your doorstep the day the game was released, which is kind of an impossible ask. It's like,
Yeah, that's a big one.
and so multiple times if I pre-ordered a game, I'd get one day, and the next day I'd get another copy. I'd open it up and like, Amazon, I'm returning this. Free game. Because like I tried multiple times, like, hey, this isn't mine, this is yours, you're a gamey one, like I want to be fair about this. And they're just like, we don't want to deal with this anymore. It's like, all right, I'll sell it back to you. It's like, okay.
I have the command on my keyboard to do that.
But so they don't do that, like that same day pre-order guarantee anymore, which is for that probably that was the reason why.
Yeah, after eating like $60 million, they're probably like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, I can't believe they would let that go on that long, to be honest, because that's just seems like not a good idea to let go on. Or I mean, especially when
I'm not sure if they do anymore, but I think the thing they replaced it with is that like essentially if you bought a game every week, you would get like a 20% discount for the next week's game. And so they don't guarantee the same day delivery, but they do guarantee like basically rolling over like hey, we'll knock off $16 off that every week.
Yeah, we'll take a managed loss versus a random one.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude, I've heard of this stuff happening at work with like $5,000 German controller motors for robots. They order one, they'll get billed for one, they'll get three. And it's like, well, that's $10,000 worth of motors we didn't pay for. We'll give them back. We don't need three of them. These things go out once every decade. Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, we don't want to deal with it. It's like, well, what's this thing worth? It's like, it says made in Germany on it in German. Whatever made in Germany is in German. It's like, this is not something that's like, well, we got $500 in it and it's made in some sweatshop in Thailand. It's like, no, these are really expensive things that there just doesn't seem to be any corporate control. And then you heard the stories about
either that or it's like some shell corporation. It's like, that's what we do. We lose money.
Yeah,
that's our purpose.
Well, then I've heard the stories of just whole cars come up missing. It's like, we ran 740 cars last shift. We only have 739 in the lot. We'll reconcile it later. It's like, wait, where did the whole car go? Did you ever reconcile that?
I know.
Yeah.
That shit's happened with nuclear weapons, so even with the most important things.
Yeah, but you think anything like more than 5,000 pounds would be hard to like not find eventually, unless it wasn't meant to be found. I don't ask too many questions when I hear those stories because it's like, yeah, whatever's going on, I don't want to know about it. And we have the people just straight up steal them too. That's always fun. They'll take the like they did at Chrysler, where they make the Ram pickups. This was on the news. They took the cheap like work truck model and they drove it through the gate, just smashed it right through the gate, ripped the gates right out of their pilings, destroyed the truck, set off the airbags and everything. But the 7 other trucks following were like the, screaming demon $70,000 truck models, and they just stopped and opened the door and picked that guy up. And it's like, oh, they sacrificed the work truck to. But then they'll find those like in parts. Like no one's taking the whole truck and reselling it because there's too much computer tracking shit on it. But they'll find them with like all the engines gutted out of them on blocks. Just bare frame. It's like, yeah, it's about $250,000 worth of trucks just disappeared because they leave the keys in them. They don't take the keys and like put them somewhere. Just leave it in the truck. Just load it on the rails. Load it on the. I was shocked at that. I was like, really? You guys leave the key in them? It's like, it would cost us more money to keep the keys hidden and delay things than it would just having 5 of them stolen a year. It's like, okay, I guess that's your math. I don't know. Yeah, I remember when the guys told me that. It's like, yeah, those expeditions and explorers and navigators, I just leave the fucking keys in them out in the lot. Like, oh, okay. That doesn't sound like a good idea, but then again, I'm not in charge, so.
Also remember, all military vehicles have no keys.
Yeah. That probably saves a lot of problems.
Oh, yeah. You want to be like, we got to get out of here. It's like, who's got the keys?
Yeah, I've seen those in those videos where those guys buy the Humvees from the auctions. And they're like, yeah, this is how you start it. You just turn this toggle and press a button. It's like, oh, okay. And then you have to buy some aftermarket thing to put a key thing. The button in the middle gets replaced by a key slot. Then that breaks all the time, and the guy bitches. And it's like, well, you bought an Army surplus Humvee that gets 4 miles to the gallon. I think that's the least worry in your cost structure there is replacing the key fob. But whatever.
Although I'd say it'd be harder to steal a tank, not because I don't think there's keys in it. Well, there are keys. because there's locks in it. So like the radio equipment is locked up, so that's the only keys for the tank.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't just hop in there and hit a button. Like there's a whole startup sequence because it's a fucking jet engine in the thing.
Yeah.
Well, because buddy that I game with was in the Marines and he was deployed, and he was talking about like one day it was so fucking hot at night, like everybody was sleeping on the ground, but his commanding officer told him he had to sleep in the driver's seat in the Humvee because they needed to be able to get out of Dodge if shit went sideways. And he was like, "Come on, everybody else is sleeping on the ground and it's nicer out there. I'm gonna roast in the fucking Humvee." And then so he said he was just uber pissed about that because he thought it was the stupidest fucking thing to sit in the Humvee because you can just get in 5 seconds and open it up instead of just like everybody basically being inside anyway. And so he was just uber pissed about it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'd be kind of pissed too because to me, I think that's kind of stupid. But I guess if you really need somebody in the driver's seat, but I don't know. I guess they didn't really explain the situation better about what they were going through. But yeah, you can all be asleep.
I don't know.
Probably
Like, if you watch Generation Kill, there's stuff like that where the guys are sleeping in the Humvees while the other guys have dug foxholes and are sleeping in the foxholes, and you presume it's like, well, it's less safe in the vehicle, but you're ready to go because that's where the radio is. So
true, but at the same time, yeah, I didn't ask him to explain it more because I wasn't trying to like. He was just bitching about it, or not.
What,
not
your
bitching about it.
experience doesn't add up.
He was talking about it just ad hoc and not really like I didn't press him about it and anything, so I wasn't trying to, I guess, be a dick about it and to question why he was so mad. But yeah, I don't know. I guess because he asked me if I ever thought about joining the military. He's like, yeah, when I got out of college, I thought about it because I was like, oh, it'd be cool to like drive a tank or something. But I'm like, oh yeah, that would be a bad fit for me. I don't really take orders well, so probably not a good idea.
Hey, guess what? Neither does most of the military.
Well, I didn't know that going in. I just had more of a problem with taking stupid orders. So, but then again, I guess that's subjective because people think other orders are stupid that are totally fine for other people. So, yeah, I don't want to get shot for disobeying orders. That's not something I wanted to do. So,
I mean, you don't disobey orders; you just bitch about it. Because there's a rank structure. It's like, it's like, well, I can't change anything about this, but I can certainly bitch about it.
It's nice to know some things don't change.
I mean, that's the thing about the military. Like, the smartest guy in the military could be like a private, but he's never going to have the opportunity to lead because that's not his job.
My favorite story from guys I would work with on the line about the military was the Army guys in Germany, and this was like during the end of the Cold War in the 80s. These guys are older, and they said, what was the thing? If they sat around too long or they seemed too bored, they would find stuff to do for them. And they got really obsessed with the rifles being really clean. And these guys figured out that you could go off base and get easy off oven cleaner. And they'd make these rifles. They'd look amazing. You just down with oven cleaner. But they knew they were passing them off because they just ruined the guns because they sprayed oven cleaner all over them. But they looked really amazing. This guy was so impressed. But yeah, I guess like stories like that is like, yeah, what happened with all those guns when they turned them in? It's completely worthless weapons now, but they looked amazing. They looked like museum pieces.
So mine doesn't get that elaborate with chemicals, but mine was so we were done shooting at Camp Pendleton, so we were go back to MCRD. And you don't have any. So you have your rifle at boot camp at MCRD, but it's not loaded or anything. You're just there for doing parade stuff for marching. And so you want to have your rifle parade ready, so it all looks nice and clean. So at Camp Pendleton, there's not like as many officers lurking around, so you can kind of get away with more stuff. And in the barracks area, there's like this courtyard. It's just full of sinks. And they just have like these two guys just run around turning on all the sinks. They're just running water, and they're like, "All right, take your rifles, run them through the water." We're
Just dunk that shit in water.
Yep.
Huh?
It's like, isn't this gonna rust? Like, I'm constantly taking CLP and cleaning rust off this motherfucking thing. This is like, get it looking shiny. Alright, whatever. So, yeah, because like we're never going to shoot ever again, so there's no need for those rifles to necessarily be functional. They just needed to look pretty. And
Nice.
we're in Camp Pendleton, so there's all this fucking dust all up in the inside of the handguards and stuff, which you can't get to. So the only way you get to it is just submerge it in water. Well, you could take it apart, but like that was a bit too far. Like taking apart that stuff, it's a real hassle to get back together when you're taking off the handguards and shit. You have to
Yep.
I mean, you can do it, but like you want like armor of tools and shit to do that.
Yep, I heard. What was the other horror story about? Well, it seemed like people. I knew a lot of guys that were in Germany, and they were always talking about stuff. And there were things with like vehicles having to be maintained in a certain way. But then they came up with this brilliant thing of like, well, you don't have to go to the Saturday drill for things they do if your vehicle was, if it was in the shop, you were like, just, oh, it's in the shop or whatever. So people started stealing like graphite. Put it in the engines of like troop carriers, and it's like, oh, it's in the shop now. Something's wrong with the motor. And oh yeah, you hear shit like that. It's like, there's no way this guy's making this up. This is way too specific. And it's like, well, what did that cost? I wonder when you. But I guess when you put graphite in an engine, if it mixes with the oil, like you can't tell. It just whatever seizes up in the engine. It's like that. It's like sand or dirt. They'll be like, oh, somebody put something in there. But for some reason, graphite doesn't do that.
Huh.
It's like, yeah, I guess I'll keep that in mind in case I need to really ruin someone's day with graphite in their engine, or put graphite in the engine of like a multi-million-dollar vehicle. But yeah. Oh, so we watched a movie this week.
Yep.
Oh boy, did we ever. Watched Oliver Stone's U-Turn, 1997. And I was surprised at some of the people I saw in this movie that I didn't remember were in it.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Joaquin Phoenix and Claire Danes.
Joaquin Phoenix, Claire Danes, Billy Bob Thornton.
I always remembered him, but Nick Nolte looking completely different.
Yep, John Voight playing a Native American.
Yeah, so very like his character's so all over the place. It like starts off as problematic and then goes like, well, I don't know anymore because he's all over the fucking place.
Yeah, this movie was a real big piece of shit. It wasn't a great movie.
No, there's like good things to it. Mostly the cast is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The people do good jobs with their roles. There are characters, and like everyone here is playing a character, and that's a good thing. Is like everybody's unique.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, everybody is unlikable, and like you don't give a shit about the story.
Yeah.
Like Sean Penn's character is like, I don't give a fuck what happens to him.
Yeah.
I've seen this before, but like I thought I remembered him being more of a badass, but he's like such a pushover in this movie.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have any. There's no like subtlety or dimension to his character other than he's kind of this dirtbag drifter that's on the run from people. There's like, I thought he would have some, as I was hoping, is like, okay, what's the breakout moment for this character or any of these characters really? And it just kind of, I don't know. This was a weird movie that like, it reminded me of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Like it wanted to have these comedic elements that never paid off.
Yeah.
Everyone was so weird and over the top.
That's probably like, I think this movie's like okay, but like the thing I hate the most is the score of this movie is terrible.
Yeah, it's a weird, disjointed.
Like it's trying to be comedic. Like it's like has like horns like it's like what the fuck are you doing? The interesting that so this was based on a book, and the guy who wrote the book wrote the screenplay. that guy goes on to win an Oscar for writing 12 Years a Slave.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so that guy went on to do things. So
Okay, I didn't put that connection together, but yeah.
yeah. I don't know if he like really fucked up this book or not, but yeah, it's I don't know. This seems in line with like thrillers of the time. Like this is kind of those movies where it's like, you know, the thing about it is like these characters go through these dilemmas, and in the end, nobody gets what they want, and that's sort of like, you know, it's like, oh, like isn't that that's terrible, isn't it? It's like, yeah. Also, I don't care if they got what they wanted or not.
Yeah, this movie seemed to me like everyone got together, did lots of drugs, and made a movie and kind of had a good time. It was so
I also think like Jennifer Lopez, where like she this is a really serious role for her, and like really early in her career. So and I don't think she really carries it well. Like it's a hard role to play, and like
Yeah.
and you know they kind of figured out what to do with her later on, but like I don't know, maybe Out of Sight was before this, but like in Out of Sight, it's like, oh yeah, let's just have Jennifer Lopez be a suave motherfucker, and then people will like it because they like her being like kind of cool and collected, rather than
Yeah.
here where she's like, she has a horrifying backstory, but also she's an asshole, so you don't really care
Yeah.
what happens to her. So
yeah, she was a monster made by other monsters.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like the Billy Bob Thornton character because I feel like he gets like referred to as an idiot constantly, but like he's just trying to like answer people's questions succinctly, and they just don't have time for him to get through his sentences.
Yeah, he seems like a guy that everyone's always trying to outmaneuver him, and he's like, I'm just trying to make a fucking living here. You know, it's like that classic Billy Bob Thornton delivery.
I like that
You
bit
know.
where he's like he's trying to like trade the watch. I don't know, that was another thing that seemed unbelievable. Even at like in the 90s, like you can't just scrape together $150. Like that seemed unreasonable to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has that like expensive watch he's trying to trade, and he's like, "What am I gonna do with this? Doesn't even have numbers on it." And he like showed, it's like, "I got this for 75 cents," and it's like a calculator watch.
Yeah. Yeah, but he always had the practical answer.
Yeah,
But he was also a swindler, you know. And
yeah.
take the whole front end of the car off. Oh, I'd change your lower hose. It's like, oh, okay.
And this is the first, and this is also the movie that made me aware of the mystique of the 64.5 Mustang.
Yeah. Yeah, they did have that. Which was also in what was that one we watched? Salvador? Wasn't that the same Mustang? Same kind of Mustang?
Probably.
Yeah. That was a this movie had some parallels to Salvador, and it's sort of like the unlikable cast and the people being unreasonable. Salvador was a little more put together than this.
Yeah, I'd say like the Natural Born Killers is more of a closer comparison. Oh, the thing I think about this movie is like, I remember we watched Born on the 4th of July. Like that movie, like looks like maybe they've done stuff to it to update it, but like that movie looks great, and that was shot in '89. This is what do you say, 97?
97.
And it just looks like a grainy piece of shit.
It was shot that way deliberately. I forget what the technique was called because I did look that up because like the budget of this movie was fine for what it was, but Oliver Stone shot it on a kind of film. He wanted it to look like a grainy. He wanted it that place basically look like a wasteland, a town. And so yeah, a lot of the shooting in this movie it was done on purpose. Like all the distant shots, everything's gauzy and scratchy, and I think it was an aesthetic he was going for. But I mean, there's a lot of like good aesthetic things in this movie, but it's not a pleasing movie to watch. It's like, oh yeah, this character's doing this now and doing that, and I mean, none of it seems random, but some of it seems like it's surprising, but not in a good way. It's like, oh, why the hell are they doing this? You know, it's more of that than like, oh, I didn't see that twist coming. It's like, oh, they're making the worst possible decisions based on very, bad information, and their plot processes are terrible. None of these people are obviously on drugs, but they seem like they're on drugs.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is not one of my favorite Oliver Stone movies, and I saw this in the theater
Really, huh?
because I like Nixon. I was like, oh, Oliver Stone movie. I'm gonna go watch this, and
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, what the fuck?
That's what I call a U-turn. It's a complete U-turn of everything you like about an Oliver Stone movie.
Just I don't remember. I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. And
Well, yeah, this is the second movie done of his where he didn't write it, so
Yeah.
so and we didn't like the other one, so
could be a pattern forming.
yeah.
Well, it's not like the studio made him do it or anything, or is it one of those type of movies where it's a contractual obligation?
This was his
Huh.
first attempt at like what they call commercial success.
Oh,
With just him directing, driving the steamboat of other people's work, and because he said this movie was designed for like a wider commercial audience than some of his, definitely than like Oliver or than Nixon or something, and yeah, and it didn't really go. I don't know how much I don't know how much influence he had on this other than just like shooting it and directing it. I don't know if he had like control over.
I mean, I don't know. It's like a great cast. So I'm wondering if like they just like everybody was pulled in by the mystique of Oliver Stone. It's like, well, it's got to be good. I don't care. Maybe the script sucks, but like it's got to be good. It's Oliver Stone.
maybe the script sucks, but it's got to be good.
I don't know, that happens sometimes where it's like I don't get it, but I believe you, so we'll do it, and then it ends up being a great movie. But
Yeah, I mean it's fun to see Sean Penn and a 15-year-old Joaquin Phoenix, and
yeah, Joaquin Phoenix and Claire Danes, their characters seems like almost out of a David Lynch movie. Like they just kind of come up out of nowhere. They're weirdly like they're assholes, but they're like wholesome. It's like they just like pop up out of the 1950s. That's kind of like their thing.
yeah, that's Joaquin Phoenix. I watched some stuff when he was talking about, because a lot of the actors were given a lot of latitude in this movie. Like, well, what do you think? I mean, in terms of even like costuming and hairstyles, and this put to them like, well, what do you think when you read the character? And so he went for a very 50s look. It's like basically I want to look like Johnny Cash, his like the apex of his career, but then I want to do the silly thing where I carve my initials in the back of my head, which I remember people were doing that in the 90s. I know kids at school that did that. It kind of came and went, but for some reason in this universe, it's like this guy thought it was cool. And everyone's sort of an indeterminate age too, which makes it sort of weird.
Yeah,
It's like, are these teenagers? Are they people in their 20s? Or they, I think the Sean Penn character was supposed to be a younger actor, but they got Sean Penn because he seems like, oh, this guy's like, you think he would have learned something in life by this point, but no.
Yeah,
Apparently,
there's people like that all the time.
well, yeah. But yeah, it gets to be a slog going through this, and then the end happens, and you're like, well, okay, that's about as depressing as I thought this would have. But it did have a great cast.
yeah. I mean,
just
most Oliver Stone movies do, but like it was fun seeing. Yeah, it was like when Joaquin Phoenix and Claire Danes showed up. It's like, oh, they're in this movie. Like I didn't. Really... and like
Yeah,
they don't have a whole lot of time in the movie, but they're memorable.
yeah, it's the best part of the movie is him acting like a lunatic.
Or you have what's her name? Like Laurie Metcalf. She's like the bus attendant, and then like
Yeah.
Liv Tyler's like also in the bus station. So like just randomly, it's like, damn, everybody. Like I know all these actors.
It's all filmed in Arizona.
Huh.
It was
Just
filmed on location in some desert ghetto.
huh. But yeah, U-turn. We don't recommend.
Yeah, you can if you want to. If you're a completionist and you just got to see all of Oliver Stone's work.
Yeah, I don't know what he was like trying to do here.
I don't think he knew.
Well, it almost seemed like, like he was trying to do like some Quentin Tarantino stuff, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure. It's like you already did some Quentin Tarantino stuff.
Actual Quentin Tarantino's. That was a weird time in movies because this was like the end of the 90s. and the 90s was kind of anything goes, like for weird filmmaking.
Yeah.
Because I remember anyone could make a movie, it seemed like in the 90s. It's like, we have unlimited money. Make whatever you want to. And a lot of it sucked. Some of it was groundbreaking, but they don't do it anymore like that. So, well, not for movies. They do it
Well,
kind
not,
of
not for large movies, like small movies. You can get stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. Oh, this is groundbreaking. Are we going to see this again? Like, no, but we're going to hire the director to direct the new Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And
Hey, you know that quirky movie you liked that had all the cool characters and was well written? His next movie's not going to be that, but it will be an extravaganza. Will he ever make another movie as good as that? Probably not. Why not? Because we're writing him checks for $25 million. He can buy an island and make his own fucking movie on his dime after we're done with him 30 years from now. And that's how your culture dies, kids.
It is shit.
That's one of the ways.
Now people that would be like movie directors and now just like doing YouTube channels
Yeah.
or on Twitch.
Let me tell you why everything sucks.
There's a couple good like or people that do that or reviews. Like Chris Stuckman does it. Critical Drinker does a pretty good job at deconstructing stuff without bitching about it necessarily. I mean, he does, but he doesn't. There's people that point out like good ways to do things, but also bitch about it at the same time.
But that's what I like about Red Letter Media is like those guys do fantastic like critical analysis, but also like look at the movies they make. It's like it clearly doesn't transfer over. Like knowing how to make a good movie doesn't make a good movie.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't know they
The
made
stuff
it.
that we're really good at hyper analyzing, I mean, we don't want to do that work either. So it's like, yeah, we sound like movie geniuses, but in reality, it's like that's tough, and it takes a lot of talented group of people coming together. We're just stuck in the Midwest, in what was it,
Milwaukee.
Wisconsin? Yeah, Milwaukee. Yeah. Or they're just like having a good time.
Yeah.
Why try harder?
Well, I mean, it's like that's what they do now. It's like because like, I'm not sure if they've been working on a film in the background, but like they haven't put out anything since Space Cop.
Well, I tell you this. I mean, I know people whose family like works in movies and TV, and that they're saying like, oh yeah, she's been on unemployment for 9 months. Like everything's just so hard to do right now.
Well, yeah, right now, like
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's
A year from now, I don't know.
because every once in a while you see them like change sets up, or you see something different. It's like, oh, they must be filming something because like the set design is completely different. Because that's what happened with Space Cop, where like they were doing their reviews on like the alien spaceship set they built because they only have room for one set at a time.
Yeah.
And that's why it takes so long for them to shoot movies. It's like they have to build the set, shoot it for like a month, take it down, build a new set.
And meanwhile, shoot 7 hours worth of movie reviews and compress that down to an hour and 45 minutes.
Well, yeah, like sometimes they'll go dark on movie reviews and stuff too, and the best of the worst stuff. Like, but then when they start ramping up, it's like, oh, they have been doing stuff. But yeah, I don't know if they're because they probably just make all their money off the YouTube stuff and commentary sales and T-shirts or whatever. So they probably Space Cop probably ain't bringing in the bucks.
Yeah, I like their commentary on bad movies. I do not myself want to watch bad movies.
Yeah. Well, I think like if you know those guys, those guys, Space Cop was enjoyable. If you were just happened to watch Space Cop and you didn't know those guys at all, you would not give them any ounce of like of respite. Like you're just like, this is awful.
Yeah,
but it's fun. I also like the line where he's like. Where like the one where he's like, it's like, why are you eating hot dogs? Like, do you know what those are made of? He's like, sure I do. It's like horse penises and Chinese people.
Uh,
That's funny.
you know.
Yeah, I didn't know they made movies actually, so it's entertaining to see that or hear that, I guess.
Yeah,
There's-
they make a lot of just kind of like schlocky horror movie stuff, and then Space Cop was probably their biggest production they've ever done.
I think the most poignant and weird thing they did was the Grabowskis, the short series about, it was just all them a lot younger, growing up, you know, lower middle class working people in Milwaukee,
Yeah.
because they have that intro song. What was it? There's good times and bad times, but mostly bad. And, you know, they're just alcoholics. And they like leave their kid in the microwave. It's terrible. It's so dark, but it's shot like funny. But it's really just dark and weird.
And
Probably because a lot of people that actually live like that too.
are those the stuff there's like these film festivals that are like called like 24-hour film festival, where it's like you have to write, produce, shoot, and edit a movie in 24 hours.
Yeah.
And that stuff is like impressive for the limitation, but it's not good. But it's like, oh wow, they did all that in 24 hours. That's very cool.
Buddy of mine did that at the Ann Arbor 24-hour film festival.
Yeah.
And he's like, you should watch this. It's like, okay. So I watched it with him. It was on a disc, and it was basically him and someone else in a barber shop having an argument with a lady. And it went on for I think the requirement was 45 minutes. And he's like, what'd you think? I said, for the time constraints you had and the fact that you only had one camera, it wasn't bad. Because the camera, like they would shoot a scene, cut, move the camera or whatever. They only had one camera. And I was like, yeah, it's not bad for like a 24-hour film thing. I don't think it was the feedback he was looking for.
Yeah.
It's like that's my impression of. I know it's hard to do that. Get people to do the dialogue, not laugh, because no professional actors, just people like me. Like, yeah, read this, okay. You know,
Well-
I was like, I couldn't do it. I'm impressed you did it.
Well, I was kind of bummed out because we attempted to shoot like several Gangrene episodes, and the thing that like probably like half a year we shot stuff for Gangrene episodes,
Yeah,
and then the only
And we were horrible actors.
yeah, but yeah, that's fine. And like the only thing that ever came out of it is eventually I just made a trailer out of it because FX was doing FX was trying to have this contest because of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like they produced that pilot, you know, like they say they produced it for $100, but they got like $300,000 in favors. But
yeah,
so they're trying to trying to strike twice, and so they had people like put trailers together to advertise their movies, and so I put a trailer together out of the Gangrene stuff we did, and that was like 6 months of shooting, and then just kind of put together as a trailer. But the most impressive thing we probably ever did was the KFC Sadness Bowls video we shot, and
Yeah.
probably what I don't know, it's kind of funny, but whatever.
I liked it. I was a part of it, so.
Yeah, you're the star.
I liked it. I
Well,
enjoyed watching it. I was
well,
like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
I mean, we just stole a Patton Oswalt joke and put it to
Film.
film. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was well visualized. It's like, yeah, this is what it would be like.
Oh man, I laughed so hard.
Shadow of a gun passing over.
we do it's the pull out and zoom in thing, like from Jaws, where it's like where you see like where like the background gets kind of like woo weird.
Yeah.
We do that with Andrew doing like looking really sad as he's contemplating death as he's staring at a sadness bowl. And like when that scene does that, it's like I laugh so hard, and I don't know if anybody else laughs hard. It's just funny to me. Anyways, like why I'm impressed with that is like that was probably the only thing we ever did where that was shot, put together in about 8 hours. Like that was a lot of editing, but I got it done. I was like oh shit! Like I planned something out, we went out, we shot it, and it's done.
No, I remember that being like, I think it only took like a couple takes. It wasn't like a horribly long shoot either.
Well, I also had no dialogue, so that aided a lot. Like
yeah,
probably,
because
probably the hard thing was like you actually had to order a KFC famous bowl from KFC.
Yeah, that was the only time. Yes, I've actually ordered KFC Famous Bowl, but it's not the first time I've ordered KFC since then. So, I mean, I can't say the rest of their products any good either. Still, but do they even sell the Sadness Bowl anymore? I don't even know.
Oh yeah, that's like their number one item. Is the
Oh, really? Shit.
yeah
God damn it.
yeah they've expanded on the Famous Bowl. Now you can just get almost just a tornado of shit in it now. So
Oh,
Yeah, remember it's a fallen world we live in. Those are going to be big sellers. I mean,
that's fucking depressing.
that is America.
well, also like think of like the Famous Bowl. It's like, you know, like with a bucket of chicken, like you're gonna have like all the legs and stuff left over. So
Yeah.
like with a KFC Famous Bowl, like you just dig through that thing and you're done. no
Yeah.
no mess. All the mess is in your belly.
Or in your pants. Either
yeah.
And get you a double down to go with it.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Is that still around too? God damn it.
I don't
I think
know.
it pops up
Oh.
on them.
I don't think I've eaten at a KFC in 15 years. I know I don't look like it, but I really
Well, no, because I like just like you. I don't eat at a KFC like all the goddamn time, but at the same time, it's like, is that still a thing? Like, why is that still a thing? Like, it's just more to
for people is a profit center. I mean, it's like, oh, I made it through another week. Time to reward myself.
yeah, I mean, probably for like price to calories, like KFC's up there.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, I can get this many calories for like a penny. It's like, this is a great deal. Feed the whole family.
But that's not what I was
Too
going.
slowly. Dad's got to pay for his insulin this week.
I had a sudden inspiration today, or I guess the other day. I was eating a fortune cookie, and I thought, like, this kind of tastes like ice cream, and that's just because it has a vanilla flavor. So I threw that in the food section. It's like, what do you think of if they had fortune cookie ice cream?
Yeah.
Think that would work?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, especially like put fortune cookie pieces in it too. Like that'd be.
Yeah, well, I was kind of thinking along the lines of Americone Dream, where they kind of have the waffle
Okay.
pieces. So you have that, and maybe you put chocolate on them. I don't know what else you put it with. Like a caramel swirl, maybe I don't know, chocolate swirl. I don't know what else you're putting in the fortune cookie ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be interesting. I mean, I was eating fish food before the podcast. That's my favorite Ben and Jerry's flavor, or at least the one that they still make anyway.
Yeah, my favorite one they don't make anymore was Dave Matthews Magic Brownies, which was,
Yeah, that was really fucking good.
it was vanilla ice cream with a raspberry swirl and brownies. It was fucking great.
I missed that one too, and I don't know why they don't make it just in limited batches occasionally, or if that's just a rights thing with Dave Matthews or something, or what the fuck.
And then there was another one that became my new favorite, but it was like it came out as a limited batch, so it was like I knew it was going away, and it was like Jimi Hendrix like One Love or something like that, and it was banana ice cream with chocolate pieces. Like, man, that was great.
My favorite was when they had the cookie dough and brownie mixed. I don't think they do that anymore.
Wasn't that just half baked?
Yeah, I think that's half baked. They still make that.
have that? Okay.
Yeah.
They still have half
That's the
baked.
best single serve portion of ice cream I've ever had.
They've added on to it. You can now get a peanut butter half baked one.
Yep, I had that the other day. That was actually pretty good too.
Well, actually, like the one I like the most, where it's like Tonight Dough is kind of like that, where it's cookie dough ice cream, but like, is there brownies in it? There's something. It's like chocolate something in it. It's not just straight up cookie dough ice cream. It's cookie dough ice cream and some other stuff.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't really eat enough of that stuff anymore. I mean, I eat it like every week, but I only really get like the 3 or 4 flavors I like.
Yeah.
And the only reason I tried the peanut butter half baked is because I got it from my wife because she likes their peanut butter flavors, but she didn't like that one at all. So she likes the peanut butter world one that only Target sells.
Huh.
So I mean, I get the exclusivity for sales, but like when it comes to shit like it's ice cream, fucking just sell it to anybody that wants it.
Yeah.
Why make it only available at Target? I'm not going to Target just for fucking ice cream.
Yeah, okay. Like Walmart gets like it's like pecan cinnamon buns, but like they usually sell cinnamon buns by itself. But I haven't seen it around recently. We don't have it currently. The only new ones they have is like the Punchline Netflix one. and then
Oh,
Netflix
okay.
and Chilled. Netflix and Chilled is all right. Punchline is okay. The other one in that line was like Moon Tracks, and it came out alongside Space Force, and that one sucked.
Yeah, I saw that one, but I didn't like the ingredient listing, so I didn't buy it.
You're locked. It's not good. I mean, it's like it's ice cream, it's cookies and stuff, but like it just didn't work together at all. It was just so generic. It's like it didn't do anything.
Well, because did you watch the Jeff Goldblum part where they talked about Ben and Jerry's ice cream and like why there's such like big chunks of shit in it?
What Jeff Goldblum part?
Oh, so it's a Disney Plus show with Jeff Goldblum where he like breaks down shit like sneakers or ice cream and stuff and just talks about it.
Is this just his? He has a show, right? Where he's like travels.
Yeah, it's a
the world?
show. I can't remember what the fuck it's called, but that's pretty much all. The
Okay.
gist of the show is just like it's Jeff Goldblum talking about things he likes,
Okay.
like like ice cream or sneakers. And so he's talking about ice cream, and the reason why Ben and Jerry's has such like big chunks and like flavors in it is because one of the founders has some kind of weird taste deformities where you can't taste anything unless there's a shitload of stuff in it. So that's why they're famous for having all this stuff in one thing. Is that literally just because they had to have it, otherwise the guy couldn't taste test it.
Huh.
So that's why there's big chunks and just all this stuff in Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I can't remember which one it was though, because they were talking about the guy's name and I was half paying attention. I was like, oh, it's interesting that
Was
you
it
can't
Ben
taste
or
it.
was it Jerry?
I think it was Jerry. I can't remember what it was because they actually said like the condition of it, and I was like, I wouldn't have thought that was ever a condition if you told me that. Because like, what else is that going to come up in real life?
Is it like was it amnesia? Is like he doesn't have a sense of smell, but he has taste, but it's just very muted.
I think it was as nausea because I was trying to think of what the fuck it was called. And I'm like, I think that sounds right, but I'm not going to
I think
say
that's a condition. I can't remember.
Schizophrenia is also a condition, but I don't want to talk about that.
What condition? What condition is in?
It's a bad condition. Bad condition. But no, that was kind of interesting because as far as like famous ice cream, like what's the other famous ice cream you can really think of besides maybe Haagen-Dazs? I mean, or Breyers, I guess. That's the ice cream.
I looked
brands
it up
I
one
remember.
time because I always thought like Blue Bunny was like the tops of ice cream, and they're like the fourth biggest ice cream maker. And the first one is Breyers, but that's just because they license out like Oreo and Reese's and stuff like that.
Oh.
And then the second one is Dryers, which I've never seen fucking Dryers ice cream. I know they exist, but I've never fucking seen it in like my in the wild at all.
I just think it's more of a regional thing. That's why you
Yeah.
don't see it around here.
Well, there's like
I mean, yeah.
there's like some ice cream that like has like their tops are very shiny, and like they only sell it like in the South. Because we always get truckers coming up from the South, and it's like, do you have this ice cream? And like, I fucking don't. And like, if you look up, I went to their website, and then like where their regionality exists is like they stopped selling their ice cream in Kansas City. Like that's the limit. Like they don't go above Kansas. But if you want to, if you buy 4 quarts of the ice cream, they'll ship it to you in a dry ice container. So.
I guess I get what's the brand called?
Oh, I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
But
no, I was going to look it up.
They make like a black walnut ice cream, and like their packaging is very shiny. So that's I can't remember what they're called. And then like Edie's is like the number 3rd one, and then after that's like Blue Bunny.
Yeah, because I haven't bought Blue Bunny ice cream for probably I don't know how many years now. It's not like a good ice cream. It's fine, but it's not good.
I think it's fine.
Like compared to like getting Breyers where it's like, oh yeah, you can get like Kit Kat ice cream or you can get whatever, versus like, oh, I can get Moose Tracks is fine, but I can get Kemp's Moose Tracks and that's better than Blue Bunny's Moose Tracks. So
yeah, well, Kim's doesn't sell like because we don't sell Kim's, but like we sell the Bunny Tracks.
oh, okay.
I know like Target sells Kim's.
I swear I saw Kemp's one time at Walmart, but I guess it's been a
Yeah,
while.
we used to sell it. We don't sell any other shit anymore.
Oh.
They used to make like these root beer float like ice cream bars, and that was like the last thing we sold of their stuff, and then we stopped selling that.
I've been looking everywhere for like the Blue Bunny like double chocolate drumsticks because those are fucking amazing, but like nobody sells those anymore either. So apparently that's not a thing anymore.
I don't know. We have a chocolate lovers drumstick like set. I don't know if it's in there or not.
I mean, I think I've seen that one. It doesn't look like the same thing, but I guess technically for a fat person, it could be. Not totally sure.
Because we only sell the drumsticks in like the big packages, but we have like 6 different varieties. But
Oh, okay. Well, because it's been a long time since it's been like at least 6 months since I've seen them. Because I was getting like the mini mint chocolate chip ones because those were decent. But yeah, it's been a while since I've seen them, and I kind of miss them. Not that I need them, but it'd be nice if they existed still. So one fat person to Blue Bunny, please.
they probably
It's like, I don't know what your hang up is. Make those drumsticks again. They're amazing.
they probably make it. It's just probably they sell it in weird places.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably a regional fucking thing or some shit. Like half the things seem to be anymore. Even though Iowa is supposed to be like, you guys are fat people, you like eating, we'll give you all the cool shit to eat. Okay. Sold.
All the wop corn you can get. I'm not
Well,
being
'cause-
racist. That's Whoppers and popcorn.
No, because I never heard of that before, so I was like, what's wop corn?
I think that was on C Lab 2021. They made that as Wop corn. The other one was it was like it's like Odd Todd or something like I think it was Odd Todd, like early internet humor stuff. And his thing was like wasabi peas and popcorn. Like that's what he would take to do his movie reviews. Oh yeah, I watched Frisky Dingo.
Oh, HBO Max.
I think it's on there, but do any of you remember Frisky Dingo?
I do vaguely remember it.
So this
I know
was
it's really strange, like sort of surreal and kind of violent.
well, it's an Adult Swim cartoon, so.
Yeah.
But like they ended C Lab 2021, and these are the guys. This was their follow up to C Lab 2021, and it's interesting to watch because you can see a lot of the DNA in Archer from Frisky Dingo, because like the Xander Cruz character is pretty much just the Archer. Like his look is pretty much Archer, although it's a different voice. And it was interesting because I think it came out in 2008, and it's like there's a lot of like cringy humor. It's like, oh yeah, 2008 me loved this. Now it's kind of embarrassing. Like stuff where like a guy like he seems to be poor and like whoring himself out, and so he just has like a bunch of like dicks tattooed or written on his body, and then he has a bunch of syringes and needles that he picked up off the road, and he's boiling them so he can sell them back to drug addicts. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. And then there's just a lot of like stuff where it's like the humor is that like, hey, isn't this? It's like a character saying something and another character going like, hey, that's racist. It's like, what? I didn't know. That's like that's the humor. But whatever. I don't know. But it's mostly still likable, and they're like 12-minute episodes, so it's like you can just plow through a season and like you know, because there's only like 8 episodes, so it's like an hour and a half. You're done with the whole season.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah,
I know it's on you. Is it on you? Oh yeah, it's on HBO Max.
It's on HBO Max. That's probably on Hulu too, because they usually do the Adult Swim stuff, but like Hulu's Adult Swim selection is kind of weird because it's not like everything.
No, it'll just be interesting to see some of that stuff again because yeah, it's been a long time since I don't think I only watched like a few episodes of that show, but it's been a long time and I kind of totally forgot about it.
I just jumped to the second season for some reason. So in that season, it's about Killface and Xander Cruz running for president. So it had like weirdly paralleled this current election, even though it's completely ridiculous and has no parallels. It's just probably because it was just ridiculous. Like, oh yeah, this paralleled the latest election because it was a fucking farce.
Oh, fuck. Sorry.
Well, that's all I got for tonight.
All right.
You guys done?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I guess me and Andrew are going to recommend you watch Psycho Gorman.
Okay.
'Cause
Where can I see that?
It's on Amazon.
On Amazon, Psycho Gorman. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's all called PG Psycho Gorman. I will tell you this. I mean, it's basically like a kids movie. I mean, except it's not. But
Okay.
Well, it's like if it's like what if Goonies met Hellraiser? That's Psycho Gorman.
Okay, I'll watch that tomorrow.
Well, I don't want to hype it up too much because it's almost like an anti-movie. It's like it's a movie that's like trying to not be a movie.
Okay, one of those.
Well, that's not really. It's like you know how most movies, like in the end, you're supposed to like come away with some sort of like message or have learned something.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not going to do that with this movie,
Okay.
and that's kind of the point.
All right.
This
well, I
crazy
will
shit
check-
happens, and nobody learns anything.
Or do they react to it?
yeah, they react to it.
Okay, it's not like a Lynch movie.
No,
or
it's not
something.
completely different.
Everyone's like, All right. Well, this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew.
Goodbye, America.